Mayoral candidate will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is
a mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard continues.
In a startling development under the strain of growing controversies, Tiffany Henyard, the troubled mayor of Dolton and supervisor of Thornton Township, appears to be collapsing. A young, dynamic black lady was once viewed as a trailblazer amidst political turmoil and popular uproar. Henyard broke down boundaries in leadership, but now she's in the midst of constant chaos, from lawsuits and meetings to federal investigations and allegations of financial mismanagement. It seems like the walls are closing in on her political career.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard was not at the hearing here today. Neither was her attorney, and she was not made available for a comment.
Let's start with the latest events that have everyone talking. Earlier this week, Henyard chose to skip two important meetings, one in Dolton and another emergency session in Thornton Township, citing credible threats made against her and other officials. The problem is that nobody else appears to have heard of these alleged threats. Both the board and residents are criticizing her, accusing her of using this as a way to avoid responsibility. Dolton trustee Jason House, who chaired the village board meeting in Henyard's absence, said that neither he nor the board had any proof to back up her allegations. And the further decline in dysfunction in Thornton Township, the people gathered in the chamber to express their annoyance as the Dolton meeting continued without her. Despite Henyard's absence, the public sentiment was quite evident, with many speaking directly to her and accusing her of ignoring her duties. "I heard you say Dra King once about being the dream no," one resident stated bluntly. "Tiffany, you are a nightmare. Comes to work, sis," another was added. It is evident that Henyard's absence is more than simply a physical one. It represents a total collapse in leadership at a time when Thornton Township and Ton both require stability more.
The right way. Illegal.
Don't forget, though, that Thornton Township had an emergency meeting to discuss important matters, such as the township's lapse insurance policy. Essential services like senior transportation and other community programs have already been forced to close due to a lack of insurance, and residents are incensed because this has left many people unable to access basic necessities. Trustee Chris Gonzalez, who called the meeting, waited for Henyard for an additional 15 minutes, but she never arrived. Without her, the meeting could not go forward, putting the township in a state of uncertainty. Later, Gonzalez said, "We're on a toll road of chaos right now, and unfortunately, the residents are the ones paying the tolls." The situation is severe, and the inaction of the Henyard just makes things worse.
Lights are off behind me, the doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed. For how long? Neither residents nor employees know at this point.
Henyard is avoiding these meetings, so why? There are many who assume that it's because she is aware that the government inquiry into her alleged for months there has been financial malfeasance, and insiders indicate that indictments may soon follow. Not to mention the long litany of issues surrounding her reputation, including the extravagant township funds that went missing. Dolton's finances are in ruins as a result of taxpayer-funded vacations and dubious spending. Lori Lightfoot, a former mayor of Chicago, examined Dolton's general fund and found that it had a negative balance of more than 3.5 million currency units. In one day, $40,000 were spent on Amazon orders, none of which had been accounted for. If that doesn't scream poor management, what does?
Again, no comment from Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Voters here will first head to the polls in February for the primary election, then the general mayoral election.
However, the most disturbing aspect, according to people familiar with the investigation, is the blatant disregard for the law over the suspected mismanagement of Henyard. Accusations of financial irregularities have been made by town employees, who say that cash intended for community projects unexpectedly vanished without any explanation. According to an employee who spoke on condition of anonymity, invoices for some expenses were either missing information or were completely made up to hide where the money really went. It seems like we run into a brick wall every time we ask for openness. These claims, according to the source, have only increased public mistrust, and many locals are now calling for a thorough audit of Thornton Township and Dolton's. With lawsuits accumulating on both sides, locals have voiced worries about how the township's capacity to operate is being impacted by Henyard's legal issues, which are compounding the instability. At a recent town hall meeting, a frustrated resident spoke out against Henyard's focus on governance, saying, "She's using every resource available to fight for herself, not for us." Thornton Township employees also echoed this sentiment, claiming that basic operations have been neglected due to the ongoing insurance crisis, with programs meant to serve low-income families and seniors coming to a standstill, leaving vulnerable residents without the support they desperately need.
Our job is to govern, to provide a way, provide services, and we're not doing that because they're stalling government, gridlocking it, because they can't have their way.
Even Henyard's closest allies are beginning to turn away. A developing rift between Henyard and some of her erstwhile supporters, who now view her as a liability, has been observed by political insiders. According to a source close to her administration, staff workers are discreetly quitting or refusing to interact with her more unpredictable leadership style, indicating that morale inside her inner circle is at an all-time low. According to the source, people are leaping because they don't want to fall, and the internal disorder reflects the chaos in the public, suggesting that the leadership of the Henyard may be collapsing from the inside out. Thornton Township trustees Harmon Carley and Chris Gonzalez have been skipping meetings to prevent Henyard from nominating an ally to a vacant trustee position because they believe it would grant her unbridled power. This lack of leadership has also spawned a political power struggle within the township. Henyard, however, accuses them of delaying government work and neglecting to renew the township's insurance contracts. One trustee even cautioned that the township's insurance now costs 3 times more with less because of the political unrest, further burdening taxpayers. The back and forth has resulted in a total standoff, leaving residents caught in the crossfire.
Our hesitation is that if there's a person in there that will just say yes to everything, I mean, it will set us back.
While Henyard blames others, her detractors claim that she is to blame for the unrest, and locals have taken to the streets to demand accountability and her resignation. Outside of Henyard's mother's home, one protester compared her conduct to squandering a great chance. In the meantime, Dolton's acting police chief, who had previously claimed that Henyard faced numerous threats, has been unable to provide proof of any that led to arrests or charges, raising the alarm. This is in contrast to others who use megaphones to express their frustrations, symbolizing the widespread public anger that has reached a critical point. Henyard has filed a number of lawsuits in recent weeks, ranging from challenging her removal from the Thornton Township Democratic ballot to suing Dolton trustees for allegedly conspiring against her Henyard. It seems like she is throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, but who is paying for all these legal battles? Lawyers are expensive, and residents are left wondering if their tax dollars are being used to fund her personal vendettas.
We need some action, somebody that's actually going to do their job. How about that? Somebody that's come in, work for the people, not themselves, and have pictures all over them.
Despite all of this, Henyard is still battling to return to the ballot for Thornton Township supervisor after suffering a humiliating defeat in the Democratic caucus in December, with attendees reportedly yelling goodbye when she was passed over for the nomination. The Henyard has since accused State Senator Napoleon Harris, who chaired the caucus, of stifling voting by barring her supporters from entering the venue. However, detractors contend that her loss was a reflection of public opinion, with many people just becoming tired of her leadership.
Manipulation. Nobody likes being manipulated, and when you get here, you know that's exactly what's happening.
It's not much better back home, Adam. There are numerous unresolved issues in the village, such as unlicensed animal control programs and delayed street plowing. Residents are also concerned about Henyard's alleged late rent payments, which have led to her being in court for an eviction case. Her landlord claims she owes more than 13,000 currency units in back rent and damages, even though Henyard reportedly moved out of the property in October. The case is still pending, adding even more drama to her already turbulent tenure. The most heartbreaking thing about this whole situation is, one commenter described the wasted potential as follows: as a young Black woman, she had the golden opportunity to do something amazing in Dolton, but she chose to throw it all away because her ego got in the way. It's difficult to disagree. Henyard's ascent to prominence was remarkable. Despite becoming the first woman and youngest mayor in Dolton's history, she appears to have put her personal interests ahead of the community's needs, leaving the locals to pick up the pieces.
Jordan.
It's about democracy and it's about hypocrisy.
I really think it's very hypocritical.
To add to the intrigue, there are rumors that a leaked audio tape of trustee Andrew Holmes shows Holmes boasting of inappropriate behaviors while on vacation in Vegas. Some people think this may have affected Hen's choice to skip a recent meeting while the details are being worked out. Remain unconfirmed, but the timing seems suspicious as the February primary election draws near. Will Henyard be able to turn things around? Or is this the beginning of the end for her political career? Her detractors are counting down the days until she's comparing her to a sinking ship that is desperately trying to stay afloat. With every NIS meeting, protest, and new lawsuit, it seems like people have already made up their minds. What will happen to Tiffany Henyard next? Will she be held legally responsible for her alleged misconduct? Will Thornton Township and Dolton be able to move past the chaos she left behind? Most importantly, who will take the lead to guide these communities into a better future? One thing is certain though, the drama is far from over. Until we meet again, thanks for watching Visual Vortex.